Every professional has a unique magic waiting to be discovered. At Finding the Unicorn in You helps you unlock your hidden potential. Thank you for tuning in. Now switching it over to our host.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Finding the Unicorn in You. Today, I have a special guest who is a licensed clinical social worker, also known as an LCSW, in Pennsylvania, and a social work educator. In addition to teaching, he provides therapy at his private practice, Let's Talk Solutions, where he works with individuals from all walks of life. He prides himself in providing a safe and open and affirming environment for all his clients to feel comfortable to open up. So without further ado, welcome KaRon Bethia.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being on. So tell me about you and what got you into this field.
As you said, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I've been a social worker since about 2017 when I graduated with my MSW from the University of Pittsburgh. And I always knew I wanted to work with individuals. I wanted to work with people. I wanted to help people in some way. Originally, I was going to do psychology, go into counseling, like strictly counseling, and that was it. But then my senior advisor told me to check out social work. And I really connected to it. And I really liked how I was able to do just about anything with social work. So since then, I have been working specifically within the LGBTQIA plus spaces and providing gender affirming care and things like that to individuals. I also recently graduated with my doctorate in social work in June of 2024. So that was very nice and very exciting. And I actually did my capstone on how social workers can utilize self-reflection to work better with our LGBTQIA plus clients and what that looks like.
So you're Dr. Bethia.
I am.
You should have corrected me.
I'm sorry.
I don't play with that.
I'm still getting used to actually saying that. I've been teaching at a new university for the last 4 or 5 months. And still just hearing people call me Dr. K, Dr. KaRon. It's really interesting.
3% of the population gets a doctorate degree.
Yeah.
0.2% of that population is people of color.
Yeah.
Label.
Yeah.
You put money, you put the time, use it. Your doctor can be Dr. Bethia now, forever.
Thank you.
When my mentors told me is just slap it on your signature, slap it on your don't even just set it preset so that it happens. And then used to it. I struggled so hard when I first got my doctorate degree. I got it in 2023. And so it's very recent. And I was like imposter syndrome. I was like, I'm not.
Yes.
I'm not Dr. Hyman. No, I just call me Hyman. And then people got offended for me. They're like, no, he's Dr. Ragoza. He worked hard for that. But now it's nature. I'm like, oh yeah, my name is Dr. Jaime Ragoza, whatever. So used to it. Get used to it. It's that impossible.
Yes.
Let it be the best of you.
Yes. Thank you for that reminder.
One doctor to another. I get instant. I'm like, oh, I have another doctor on board. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Bethia. Well, why specifically LGBTQ? I know that one of the things that people struggle when they get into the health and wellness field or mental health field is what niche do I pick? We all fall. I say we, but I include myself. Sometimes we fall into the trap of I want to help everyone.
Right.
If you help everyone, you help no one. So what helped you ground yourself to pick that niche?
Yeah. So being part of the community myself, I wanted to be of assistance to people like me, because growing up, didn't see that, didn't have that. I really gravitated towards this population because I want to make a change in some capacity in the world generally, but specifically within this population, because I know how much it feels how it feels, I should say, to not have people to surround you. Don't get me wrong, my family is super supportive, but you want to also have people that you can connect to in a different way that's not family. And so having doing that, I was able to really get into these spaces and learn different things and all of that. And it really provided me with a sense of I feel good about what I'm doing.
I love that. And it's definitely needed. Personally, I felt very lost and
Mhm.
I didn't really like therapy as much. And I'm full disclosure, I'm getting my MFT license. So for someone that is getting a therapy license, I'm over here. I don't, okay. So it wasn't that I didn't like therapy. It's just, there's a therapist for everyone out there. Um, there's so many different modalities. There's so many different approaches. And also like your background plays a big part on what kind of clients you're going to attract.
Yes.
I think sometimes we fall into the trap of telling ourselves, I don't want to work with people like me, but those are the best people to work with because
Right.
you understand them and
Exactly.
it makes it so easier for you to connect.
Yep. Yep. You have the lived experience. You have you can connect with your clients. And a lot of clients that come to me, they specifically said, I sought you out because X, Y, and Z. You were affirming, you're a black male, anything like that, because clients see you in them. And so you want to be able to connect with your clients. And that's usually what it's going to be like.
Yep. Yep. And I strongly believe this. A mentor once told me, you become the person that you needed when you were young.
Mhm. Yes.
So
Yes.
you have to, you're going to find younger versions of you or like people that are like you that grew up in a similar fashion that are going to benefit from this new version that you are. So you have to be open to helping those individuals.
Absolutely.
There's this like something about going into a safe space like that and not needing to over explain certain situations. People just get it. It's just like comforting. Instant.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's why I've had the success that I have had with the clients that I'm working with, because I have been able to tap into some of those things. So not even just QIA plus stuff. I'm a very sex positive therapist as well. So I do a lot within the community if there are things like fetishes and kinks and things like that, I do all of those things. And I've had clients say to me, you're really knowledgeable. How do you know all this stuff? I tell them, like, yes, there is some lived experience with some of this stuff, but also I'm being open and willing to hear what all is coming out. And I go and do my own research.
Yeah. No, and it's that extra mile that you go that really helps people trust you
Mhm.
to provide better services and quality of services to your clients.
Yes.
And that's amazing. So if there's someone that is interested in this type of field to get into, let's say either LSW, LCSW, or a LMFT, what would you say would be like the first steps that you recommend they do?
Definitely think about why you want to go into this, because if your reasons are not to truly help people, you're not gonna like it. You're not gonna be successful. So definitely sit back and think about what is it that I really want to do with this. I actually was just talking to someone last night. The debate of psychology versus social work, and thinking about what am I getting out of this? And what maybe the differences between the two fields. Yes, they both help each other or help other people, but there are aspects that social work may be looking at more of a whole person systems approach, whereas maybe psychology might look a little bit more at the brain and functioning in those ways. So sit with yourself and say, I'm doing this. What are my whys for doing this? And allow yourself to honestly talk to people that are in the field already, um, talk to students and see what their experiences have been with their programs, things like that. That's really going to be the first steps to really getting into the field.
I like that. I like that a lot. And you have to be interested in what you're doing. I literally was talking this with a colleague the other day on how sometimes there's people that had good intentions going in, but either got burnt out, lost interest, and instead of doing good, they're like hurting the clients more.
Yep.
And this is serious stuff, because if somebody's in a vulnerable state going to you and you're not taking care of yourself and you're burnt out and you stop caring and not compassionate, empathetic, not trying to,
Mhm.
you don't know what that can lead for that person.
Exactly. They're putting so much faith and so much trust in you to help them and do things that they're going to potentially get them out of whatever situation that they're in or whatever feelings they're having. And if we, yeah, as you said, if we're not able to do that for ourselves, we're definitely not going to be able to do that for our clients. Think of it as the put your face mask on first before you help other people. That's really how the helping professions are. If we aren't helping ourselves, we can't do anything to help our clients.
1000% agree. And going into that, there's a lot of things that can happen, especially for mental health workers. You can get vicarious trauma, you can get secondhand trauma,
Mhm.
you can get compassion fatigue, and there's a lot of stressors that cause you that,
Right.
unless we regulate ourselves and decompress, it can cause severe amounts of stress, physical, body,
Yeah.
mental, and burnout. So what are some things that you would suggest listeners do to ground themselves and de-stress?
Definitely think about different types of self-care. So anytime, the first time I start with a client, one of the first things we talk about is self-care. What are you doing? What are the different types of self-care? So thinking about incorporating as much self-care as possible. So physical self-care, social self-care, and let me back up. So physical is not, sometimes we only think of it as what I'm doing, something that I'm doing, get my body moving. But we also want to think about, how are we sleeping? What are we drinking? Are we drinking enough water? Are we getting enough nutrients? All those sort of things can be part of that physical self-care that helps us. Socially, how are we taking care of ourselves mentally, spiritually, and emotionally? So thinking about how that all comes together for you. I know for me, I will, for self-care, I read a lot. That's a big one. Listening to music. My partner and I will play video games, play like Mario Kart or Mario Party or something like that to decompress, or we'll just sit on the couch. And I'm a huge fan of Drag Race. I've gotten him into Drag Race as well. So I will sit on the couch and watch Drag Race as well, getting out and doing things out in the community as well. That can be, think that those are some of the big things. And if you're noticing that you're starting to burn out, take that time. Take some time for yourself, because the burnout's not going to go away if I'm just continuing to go.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And one thing I do want to get your opinion on, people sometimes struggle with learning how to ground themselves and decompress and or avoiding the stimulus that's causing the stress. And I think this is a trap that people usually do by doom scrolling, or like they're trying to create something to avoid the stimulus instead of facing it on and doing that self work. So I recommend for people that, or how can you tell if you're doing that one or versus the other?
Yeah, that is a very, it's hard to sometimes tell when you're in that space already. So I think the biggest thing to notice if you're doing that, I'm on my phone. And if I notice that time just went by, an hour, 45 minutes just went by, and I haven't moved, I need to take that moment and say, what just happened? What was I doing? And I think it's also making sure that we find these different things that can occupy our time. So we don't have to ignore them a lot of times we want to, but it's allowing ourselves and giving ourselves, maybe it's 10 minutes of like worry time. I'm going to give myself this worry time, and then I'm going to go do something else. If that happens to be doom scrolling, that's what it's going to be. But I at least gave myself the time to worry about whatever it was that I was anxious, sad, frustrated about, and allowing myself to then say, now that I let that time go, let me go and do something that feels good to me, so I can feel good, okay. I like to say with clients, we don't always have to feel good. We don't always have to feel great. If we can look at what it means to feel okay, we're doing something. We're getting somewhere.
I like that. And what I tell clients is that not all internal work is going to be rainbows and daisies. And you stuff it's going to happen. Like when you're eating vegetables, these are good things that are good for your body, but they're not always the most tasty. Same thing with some of the decompression and some of the grounding activities and some of the things that you're going to do. You're going to go through some of the ick, but it's going to
Right.
be good for you. You have to
Yep.
be comfortable being in the uncomfort.
Yes. And that is being comfortable with discomfort, being comfortable with uncomfortability. That is a sentiment that I talk to clients about all the time and talk to them about, yeah, sometimes we have to push through some of those thoughts that we're having to recognize that, okay, maybe this is a good thing for me to be doing right now. And sometimes we just don't have the capacity to do that. And that's okay. But we don't want to get into a pattern of, oh, I just don't want to deal with this right now.
Yeah, it's not avoiding it because putting myself out in the spotlight, like I've done that. Like I'm currently doing my MFT program and I told myself I'm going to do self-care. But then every time that I wanted to do self-care was when when I coincidentally sat down to work on my paper,
Mhm.
my midterm that was due. And I'm just like, oh no, I need self-care. And I was like, okay, yes, I need self-care, but also it shouldn't be an avoidance tactic.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. That is, yes, that is not gonna lie, going through my doctoral program, that was a lot of work,
Oh yeah.
especially when I sat down to write my capstone paper. There were times where I just sat in front of the computer and I was like, what do I do? And there were other times where, yeah, I was like, it's probably a good time to do some self-care. Instead of writing, it's fine. It's totally fine.
Yeah, no, it happens, and we're human. We're gonna make mistakes. We're not
Mhm.
perfect, and it's more so about learning the tactics, learning
Yes.
our patterns, and once you know it, it's hard to not. You can't unlearn it.
Yeah. And the thing that I also want to think about too, or I want the listener to think about toolboxes, whatever that looks like. I have one client that said their toolbox was a purse and they put all their stuff, all the skills and things that they've learned into that purse. Others were talking about a fanny pack. So think about what type of toolkit can I build up as I'm working with therapists, a counselor, whatever, to that I can then use later on and be able to work with things on my own as well. That's pretty much our job, is to work ourselves out of a job with clients, is to you have the skills to go out and do all these things now, record it, and we'll check in.
Exactly, and you have to know your body. You need to know what works for you.
Mhm.
Like on my desk right here, like I have ADHD, so I already know my mind works a little bit different. I have my little timer,
Mhm.
super tasks, so it's cool. Like I have it here. I have my little fidget spinner to keep me
Yes. Yep.
and keep me like grounded. So you have to do what's gonna work for you and really find the techniques, have your little toolbox, have like your gadgets, your gizmos and everything, and plan ahead. You have
Yes.
planning to what's the saying? Fail to plan is planning to fail.
Yeah. Yep. And if we don't, and so with that too, I think it's making sure that we don't put too much emphasis on plan either. And it's dichotomy there of I want to plan something, but if I plan, am I married to that plan? And I know that is something that comes up a lot in different scenarios. I before I was able to really think about flexibility for myself, I was the same way. Things had to be so regimented for me to be able to stay on task. And now I have a little bit more. autonomy and things like that, especially having my own practice and work and teaching from home. My schedule was not set. Being able to figure out what that looks like for me, I need to also have some level of flexibility.
Oh yeah, definitely. And knowing your tendencies. Like, for example, I always say my present self has an audacious mind that thinks my future self can handle everything.
Yes.
Owing this, I constantly, every day, I put like literally 2 slots a day called the buffer zone, like an hour to an hour and a half of buffer, just in case I overplanned and I can catch up. And if I don't,
Yes.
cool, I have an hour and a half where I can get ahead and then I can finish.
Oh, I love that.
And I literally, it's a constant thing. It's like a set thing every day. I can't plan any like meetings during that time as much as I want to sometimes get that in, but it's needed because especially if you're an overachiever and you tend to overcome, like you, you have such a high self-esteem and you think you can accomplish everything. You need that buffer because all it takes is one meeting to fall behind.
Yes.
One task that you thought was going to take an hour, but took you 5. Whatever it may be, life happens. So you have to have grace and give yourself time to catch up.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I love that buffer time. That's such a good idea. Yeah. And thinking about, like you said, know your tendencies, know what you can accomplish in different mindsets. So there are going to be like today, I'm in a pretty productive mindset. So I feel like I can get a lot of things done. Yesterday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, did not have any of that mindset to do anything more than sit at my computer. And so when you are looking at planning certain things, what are times that might be more lax, where I know I'm going to be a little bit tired. I know I may not want to be doing anything. I need a mental break. That can be that buffer time. And then everything else, put that around that as well.
Exactly. And then giving yourself grace. Sometimes
Mm.
you're just not going to have the mental capacity to do anything. That was me yesterday too. I woke up and I was like, today's going to be a shit day. I already,
Yeah.
as much as I don't want it to be, I just don't have the energy. I don't have the power. So anything that I get done today is good. One thing done, I will feel proud of myself. I'm going to give myself,
Exactly.
and I will balance it out the rest of the week.
Exactly. And one thing that I do for myself too in that regard, I will break up my day as well. So I'll plan out what I need to do in the morning. At lunchtime, I'll try to look at, okay, what did I get done that I need to get done this afternoon, and put that on the schedule for the afternoon. And then if I need to do something in the evening, I'll make sure I put that there. But I think we sometimes need to break some of these tasks down a little bit more too, to allow our minds to breathe a little bit.
Oh, yeah, 1,000%. As we're wrapping up, I want to ask you the last question, which is premise of the podcast, the unicorn lesson. What is the unicorn lesson that you've learned that has shaped your life to like for the better and made you the person that you are today?
Yeah. I think the unicorn lesson that I've learned is that it's okay to make mistakes. You don't have to be perfect. I grew up so I'm the oldest child of 3. So I grew up having to be in the spotlight, for lack of a better word, and knowing that I can make mistakes. I don't have to be this perfect child, this perfect person, the perfect social worker. I can learn from these mistakes, and I've done that. I've As a social worker specifically, I have worked in so many different spaces, and having those experiences has led me to where I am today. So I've made mistakes of going into certain things. Like I don't want to say my work has been mistakes, because I loved everything that I did. But within that work, there were mistakes. There were things that I did that I'm like, ooh, that shouldn't have done that. But looking back, I've said to myself, had you not done that, you wouldn't be where you are today. I wouldn't be teaching full time at a university. as a full-time faculty. I would not have a private practice and working with individuals. I wouldn't have the relationship that I have with the different people in my life, kind of not have these experiences.
Now, that is a really good perspective. And everything, I'm a true believer. We're in control of our own destiny, but everything does happen.
Mhm. Right.
Even if like you're skeptical and you don't think that, but leaning into everything.
Yes.
Don't-
Yes. There needs to be meaning of some kind, intention, whatever way you want to think about that. That is what's going to give you that feeling of I'm doing something.
I've had clients that tell me like, not everything has to be a life lesson. And I'm like, why not?
Exactly. Why not?
Why are you being
Agree.
just
Mm.
lean into it? You have to lean into the sucks so you can learn something through.
Yes. Yeah.
I was just like, just because it looks like a pile of shit doesn't mean something like there's some gold inside.
Exactly. Yeah. We have to lean into these things even more because if we don't, we're going to miss out on a lot of experiences.
Yeah. And it's really, to the most simplest terms, it's whether you're going to look at problems or issues with a growth mindset or a lack mindset. So are you going to be the victim of the story, or are you going to be the main character that will work on it?
Mhm.
Like, how are you planning to present yourself and what is your intention?
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. The intention part is really what I pay attention to a lot. It's what intention am I putting into the things that are doing at this point? And why do I want to do this?
Exactly. Hold on. Hey, this is fantastic. I've had a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you.
If somebody wants to follow up with you, sign up for therapy or
Mhm.
anything else that you have to offer, follow your journey, how can they do so?
Yeah. You can email me at contact@letstalksolutions.org. You can also go to my website, letstalksolutions.org. And yeah, those are the best places to get me at.
Perfect. And then listeners, don't feel like you have to jot all this down. If you scroll down in the show notes, you'll be able to just click on them. Also, if you go to my website at rainbowcareercoaching.com, you go under the Unicorn Wall of Fame, you'll see KaRon, Dr. KaRon on there with his bio, the links, and a summary of today's interview. Last reminder for everyone, don't forget to share and subscribe to this content so it gets pushed out to so many more people so that they can learn these wonderful tips today. And episodes come out every Friday at 7 a.m. Thank you, Dr. KaRon. Any last words before we finish today?
Thank you. All I can say is use your voices, do what you can, and be in community with.
Love it. Thanks, everyone. And until next time.